Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a C.A.T.S, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Hello, friends. It's Kristen. I'm here with Kathy Hadizadeh. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Good morning, and I'm good. Thank you for having me, Kristen.
So I was reviewing what you gave us before the program, and you were talking about how important it is to have a pause. I love that idea. I think sometimes we just go, go, go. We never give ourselves a chance to take a break.
That is very true, because that is the culture that is dictated to us. The busier you are, the more successful you appear.
And why does that actually not work?
The human brain is not designed for this constant amount of stimulation. And that's why we might drag ourselves into all these meetings, engagements, excitement, but our body and our mind is not capable of handling all of that. So that's why we see an increase in the rate of burnout, especially in the last decade or so, with the pandemic having exacerbated it considerably.
You know, there is, I think, something definitely to this. You know, you always hear about Olympic athletes that, like, right before the Olympics, they don't train at all, or they train differently so that then they can go and break that world record or jump forward.
That is true, because they are using that time in order to recuperate their body and also focus on their mindset. Another important piece, if you talk to the performance coaches, one of the things that they work with the athletes is their mindset. And that shift in the mindset takes time. That's why they don't have anything that will happen overnight for somebody to become all of a sudden a believer in themselves. It takes years and years of practice, hard work, and focusing on the right mindset.
So let's talk about that. I mean, do you have a philosophy
around mindset?
Yeah.
I really think the philosophy that I have developed across the years, and I haven't had it since the get-go of my life, I have to confess that, because I have gone through my ups and downs, as you can imagine, is that we have a more say in our work, in our life, in whatever happens around us than is even believable. We can design a lot of events, our jobs, our lives. We can engineer it if we learn to engineer our mind. And that's a very big key piece that people are missing out, because they think that things happen to them. But no, it's not really like that. We engineer a lot of things. Well, I'm not going to discount luck and those kind of things, but how many times have you heard right time, right place? It's not really like that. You have engineered it for some time for it to happen.
So I'd love this idea that we can personally engineer or craft the experience that we're having. It sounds very law of attraction, you know, that we can bring things into our lives that we desire, that we believe could be true about us. Do you have any real specific advice if someone wants to engineer a more high performance life, but at the same time not be burned out and overworked and all those things that we think go along with that?
I love your question. And because your audience probably do not know me, I want to make sure that your audience know that I am talking about this as an engineer. I have two masters in engineering. So I'm not just about, like, there can be different reps for different concepts in this world. And they will think, oh, it is woo woo, voodoo, whatever they think. So I want to just get it out of our scope in here, that I'm talking about this as an engineer and as a science-based based philosophy in here. That, think about this. In engineering, you look into building something, you look into having a vision and going about a process to build it, to test it, and to see if that prototype works or not. Maybe you have to rebuild it. Maybe you have to build it 1 million times. Maybe it, at the end of the day, it doesn't work. I'm not going to discount any of these, but I am going to say that the same process applies to our lives, is that we need to have a vision. We need to take the time to have that vision, which is super important because it doesn't just happen. And when you have the time to connect with that vision, if you think about it from a quantum physics perspective, who knows where you are on the spectrum of life? You can be anywhere on the spectrum of life. So you can design where you want to be in the spectrum of life. And if you have enough energy and bandwidth and mindset around that concept, you can put it into practice. You can envision it and you will finally live that. I have experienced it personally in my life. So I'm not going to just tell people something that is written in a book. I mean, books are amazing. I love books, but you see how many self-help books are published every year and people still do not change. They buy the books, they read the books, the concepts are appealing, but they do not get the same thing because every one of us is different. My experiences as a person who has lived her youth in Iran is different from somebody else who has lived in another part of the world. My experiences, my
Absolutely.
upbringing, the way I see the world. So we have to take all of that into consideration. That's why coaching is so amazing, because it helps you reflect on you and how you can vision that for yourself.
I love this idea that you had about like you're making a prototype, right? So you're an engineer, you make this prototype, and sometimes the prototype doesn't work, because there's a design that maybe isn't in alignment with who you are or this trajectory that you're on in your own life. And so I think that understanding that we are co-creating what experiences we want to have, and even if we build something, it might still need to be tweaked because, it is a process to get to wherever it is that you desire individually to land.
Very true. The co-creation is very true. And that's something that people discount that a lot of times. But there is another piece in here that I want to bring up, and that is giving ourselves permission for having that prototype. We change in our life. I'm not the same person I was in my 20s. Is anybody listening to us the same person?
No.
I don't.
Not on any level, right?
I mean, we change. Our desires change. What we want to experience change. So if I wanted, for example, at the age of 18 to be in this engineer and do this and do that, maybe the same thing is not as appealing if I'm 40. Maybe, I don't know. But I can see that we need to build checks and balances, the same as the way the government does. But we need to have checks and balances. And that's one of the ideas behind the productive pause, because a lot of the people that I work with them, they are amazing high performers with extraordinary success on their belt. But because I work with people between late 30s to early 50s, they're at the point that maybe they're like checking out, maybe this is not really what I want anymore.
Right, yeah.
But give yourself permission to see what works best next.
So Kathy, what does a productive pause look like? I'm curious. I mean, what is your framework for that?
So thank you for asking that. The productive pause is giving ourselves permission to take time for ourselves, so that we can look at our life as a whole person, not just one aspect of it, not just work, not just kids, not just the simple things, but maybe more holistically look at our life and see, okay, where am I standing? Am I in balance? Does it feel flourishing life to me? Am I living the life of other people want me to live, or am I living the life I want to live? That's a
Exactly.
very big thing, parents, friends, society, partners. I mean, you can be subject to a lot of things. So checking in with yourself, having that space for reflection. See, the hardest thing is to sit and think by yourself and not get trapped into overthinking. Because when you sit with yourself and think, you have the same viewpoint. So you're not
I
seeing
love that. It is so true. I love that whole idea. Like we sit and think on our own, but we're thinking the same viewpoint. I mean, that's kind of like so obvious, but yet it doesn't occur to us because we're just on that one track thinking path.
See, that is the thing. But when you are coming to sessions, I ask you questions and it probes your thinking. And we look at other possibilities together. So it's a way of opening your horizon. There are other possibilities. Maybe I can look at things differently. Maybe there can be other ways of reaching the same thing. Maybe there is something else I want other than this thing that I have been thinking about it for the past 10 years. There is a wide range of possibilities out there.
There is science behind that, we just go that same path.
Very true. So we examine that, and then we build a roadmap, but we build a roadmap based on not just actions. This is a really key piece. People think, oh, if I go and do that, this will happen. It doesn't work like that. You have a narrative in you. You're living a narrative. If you think that you have to work 12 hours a day, you're a conscripted soldier in a way.
Right? I think they work longer than that.
Yeah, you're right. Was kind in here. But yeah, so you see, you have that narrative. So we have to look at what is the current narrative and what should be the future narrative. So you can shift the thinking. Michelle Obama's book on becoming.
Absolutely.
That is
I love
really the case in here. So you need to see what you want to become so you can build those capacities. And our action taking is around building those capacities in a space in your mind, in your thinking, in your life.
Very powerful, Kathy, building the capacity for this vision of who we want to become. How can we find you?
www.heartmindtuning.com.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being with me here on the Big Meow.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by C.A.T.S Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at C.A.T.S Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join C.A.T.S Network. C.A.T.S Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, C.A.T.S is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's C-A-T-S networking.com. Because let's face it, Cats are better together.